Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of the Infertile Diagnosis. I'm your host, Monica Cox, along with Sarah Clark, and we're here to support, inspire, and educate those who are all consumed with the label of infertility. We totally know how you're feeling. Both Sarah and I were diagnosed with a form of infertility before we hit our 30s. We let the fertility experts dictate our past and ignored what our bodies were trying to tell us for far too long. So here we are, helping you take control of your infertile diagnosis. Hello, we are back to discuss about when we actually found out that our normal health issues were the actual cause of our infertility and not the actual diagnosis of what we got, like the POF, or for me, unexplained infertility. So if we were Bill and Ted, and we went on an excellent adventure and we met ourselves, would you have listened?
I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have back then because I grew up with my mom and it was like, going to that plant-based diet back then, and she went vegan 30 years ago, and now the amount of people I go into my local, plant-based restaurant, it's filled with 20 something cute women, eating all the healthy stuff. Back then it was not. It was like hippies, and it was not cool, and it was like quackery and stuff. So I would have thought all this stuff was really bullshit. I don't think I would have. That's why I didn't see it. That's why, when my daughter had, tubes in her ears and her tonsils taken out and her adenoids removed, I didn't go and say, well, maybe she should go dairy free. That would work. No, I went to the ENT, and she's like, rip it all out. Mm-hmm. But I know if I had done that, I would have avoided all those surgeries. But I was not able to hear any of those messages. And I was not able to hear it until I was 40. Yeah. Which is like almost 9 years ago. so don't know why that took me so long, but I don't think I would have listened.
Yeah, I wouldn't have listened either. And I didn't have anyone around me, living that lifestyle as an example, even to make fun of, really. But I just didn't, I didn't feel unhealthy.
No. Yeah. Same here.
Why?
I felt healthy. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm healthy.
Yeah. I got up, I went to work, I lived an active lifestyle, athletic, and loved snowboarding. I didn't put that my drinking and my, food intake was having a massive impact, not only on my fertility health, but my health in general. And I mean, even when people are like, oh, you need to calm your drinking down. And I was just a party girl. I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't chugging vodka in the morning by myself. But
only during university was I doing that. I remember during university, I could drink 10 beers. Like after 10 beers, that would be too much.
Oh,
like, that would be over my limit. If I had 10 beers now, I would be dead. Like I have like 2 drinks and I'm like, oh my God. But it's like, earphones out there. But yeah, the tolerance during university was like,
it's insane. So I lived in Mammoth Mountain, which is where you live is, what is it, like around 4,000 feet, above sea level. So you're high altitude where you're living. So we used to go to Vegas and just not get drunk because our alcohol level tolerance was so high, and then they pumped the oxygen in the air filters. So we would like, oh God. I mean, it's like I almost feel physically sick of how much I used to be able to consume. And I'm just like you now, 2 drinks and I'm buzzed. I'm such a cheap date. But yeah, and I don't know. I just kind of wonder, like, okay, we wouldn't listen to anyone else. But, you know, if you had some yourself come back to you like, I'm the future, I'm 20 years, you are going to go through a lot of shit if you don't listen to me. And yeah, I still would have maybe just thought, maybe I would have done it halfway. Maybe I would have, nah, probably not.
I think I would have thought quackery,
Yeah.
witch doctors, craziness. What's this garbage? Yeah, I was so conventional. And then because I thought what my mom was doing was like just so out there, like doing transcendental meditation like 30 years ago. I remember with the mantra, I'm like, tell me your mantra. She wouldn't tell me the mantra. And it was like, yeah, it was, she was just into all this. She was into palm reading and handwriting analysis and all this stuff, which now looking back, I'm like, damn, that stuff was so cool. And I love all that stuff now. And yeah, it's interesting to go back to that time and why we wouldn't have. And I do believe it was our society too. Like I think now, like the amount of people that are coming to me now saying, hey, I've switched my diet. Like I've done this years ago, right? They've all thought I was a nut job. Why is she doing this gluten-free thing? And so now people are coming to me, oh, I'm doing keto, or oh, I've taken out dairy, or oh, and I'm like, okay, it took and it just took them years and years to come around to people come when they're ready.
Right. Yeah, I totally. I think it's, you know, there's a few reasons. You either are super sick and you have to do it out of desperation. So, I mean, that was not that I was super sick, but my infertility became it was a desperate act. I was willing to do anything and I did. So diet and nutrition was just one of those things I was trying, especially the first 6 months to a year. Or I think people, why else? Why else was people going to do it? I don't know why I'm losing my train of thought. I think I'm so hot in this
Was
room.
it hot? It's like stuffy in there.
Why else would people try it? Yeah, I think sometimes the diet and nutrition is lumped in, like you were saying, with some of kind of the more extreme things like crystal reading and palm reading and all those things. And I think people get put off even just trying little, you know, kind of holistic things because they just, like you say, just lumped it in with all of that. And not that I wouldn't say that I'm, you know, super hippie-ish now and do all those things. I don't. And I think that's a really good message to, you know, tell people. It's that you don't have to become all that. You don't have to believe in all that. But what you have to do is find what is affecting your health, whether it's your diet, your lifestyle, or you know, your environment, and eliminate those factors. You know, you don't have to put crystals over your head at night or, you know, like I went and saw an iridologist. Fuck, that was the biggest waste of money. And nothing against iridology. I do believe that there is great connections and you can, you know, just like reflexology and acupuncture. But this guy was just super genetic, and he was super witty. He just knew, like, he could read your personality, so he had you, you know, like his charisma was so good. And we were already doing paleo, so when he was like, here's your diet changes you need to make, it wasn't that dramatic for us. But what he ultimately did, which I didn't know nutrition and lifestyle at that point like I do now. He put us on a keto diet, which totally fucked me up. So I had been super normal in my cycles my whole life, no really big hormonal issues, and being on that diet. And I think I was only on that diet for 3 or 4 months. I'm naturally skinny anyways, but I was fucking dead thin. And yeah, my cycles went wonky. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And now I look back and I just think,
It could be for people with PCOS potentially could be helpful, but
yeah,
other people, yeah, it messes with the cycle. I've seen it a bunch of times.
yeah, it's I mean, that's another topic for another episode, but yeah, it was insane. But yeah, going back to, you know, why we wouldn't do these things, it's definitely, you know, people just need to get there in their own time. And yeah, I feel the same way as you. I didn't, what 4 years of infertility. It took me to kind of wake up and kind of see the light and try it. And I think, if I went down your path, I was thinking about this the other day because, like I said, 10 years ago, if we didn't figure out I had, if that testing wasn't around, I would have done donor egg and still not fixed my health. And I truly believe that my health would have just deteriorated, like it did for you, after all was said and done with your children and stuff. And that's kind of when the light flipped for you, wasn't it? It was having those really big health issues.
Yeah, and like most people that come to me they're not sick. Like they're struggling with infertility. And I think so to go and make these changes to their health, I don't know if they necessarily think that that's where they want to go. So for me, postpartum and years later, then my health, again, I wouldn't consider myself a sick person.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bunch of antibiotics and seeing the doctor a lot, but I'm not lying in bed. But yeah, so the fact that it's not, it's the genetic weakness for us, people with infertility, we're not able to have a baby.
Yeah.
It's a sign. Like if something's wrong with your menstrual cycle, that's a sign. Like it's a sign of your health.
Yes.
And so because we're not chronically ill, although people, will come with autoimmune disease and can be ill, can be quite ill. Typically it's not the case. So making these seemingly radical diet and lifestyle changes may not even be something that seems like would make sense.
Yeah. When the penny hit for you, so you decided to change your diet and lifestyle to improve your health. When was it that you kind of realized that this could have worked for you back when you were 28 and maybe help improve your situation?
It's back when I changed my diet and I went, oh, like when I was 40 and I went dairy and gluten free. And then a couple years later after that, I did some stool testing and found some gut infections. And I'm like, oh, I potentially could have restored my health and restored my period back then.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never know for sure because I was fully
Yeah.
in menopause. Like I won't know. But like all these signs were there, and I didn't dig deeper. I didn't dig deeper. I didn't ask. I didn't go to different practitioners to see what else was going on. I took the diagnosis and off I went. So yeah, yeah, for me it was really, I'll never know for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, with our diagnosis, so you were diagnosed with POF, and in reality, what was actually making you infertile was your other issues that you were dealing with. But
Yeah,
because, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so food sensitivity. So for me, gluten, dairy, and corn. I had underlying gut infections. So H. pylori, streptococcus. I had a fungal infection, and also like the lifestyle piece too of this, where I'm like a go, like get her done. I'm like a major doer. Like you say, you want to get shit done, I'll get it done. But at what cost am I going to execute and get this stuff done? I kept saying yes, yes, yes. Pile it on. I just remember even with fun, I'd have like a really fun day and then I want to add on even more fun to the day. So now I'm like, oh no, you can't do that. You need to, prioritize sleep. Although I've always slept really well. So it's like that piece, because you can eat that really, perfect diet and deal with your gut infections and take the supplements to heal. But the lifestyle piece, the sleep, the movement, the mindset piece for me came like years later, where I'm like, oh, okay, reframing thoughts and what are those thoughts on the loop, like that is equally as important as the diet. So it's a holistic like approach, but to me it didn't I didn't figure that out till years later. And
Yeah. I mean, the same. It's just, hindsight's a bitch. But yeah, and like I talked about in the previous episode of just being, did you ever get mad? Like I got like
oh
angry.
yeah, my thing is not, I don't cry in the corner. I beat the shit out of the corner and I get pissed. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm like, are you kidding? Like what? This? How come I didn't know this? How come no one told me that like diet and food sensitivities, gut infection, being on the pill for 10 years, that this was this was going to impact my health. And I'm still dealing with this stuff now, where I just had a hair tissue mineral analysis test, came back, I had huge copper toxicity. I had a calcium shell of like, no one had ever seen it so bad. And so I'm now on this massive protocol again. I'm like, are you kidding me? My hair was falling out again, my thyroid. So it's like, I'm not at 48, some perfect specimen of health. And again, I'm probably healthier than I ever have been, but I'm like, oh my God. So I'm still uncovering stuff. I'm still uncovering this stuff. And, but I'm like, what? Why didn't I know this? Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah. And it's hard not, to take those frustrations and being pissed off and carry them with you, because I feel like the only saving grace for me is that we didn't have the information. It wasn't on Google. There was no books. There was no podcasts. So yeah, that's my only saving grace, is like, you only did what you had to do, and you only had the information, and you took that and you slowly learn and you slowly piece it together, and you are where you are now. Be thankful for that.
Yeah, like I always think I'm a fast learner. I'm like, oh my God, Sarah, you're so fast. You just got it. You're like, I'm walking fast. I'm doing things fast. And I'm like, as I look at things, I am so slow.
Yeah.
Like it takes me so long to actually assimilate all these things over the years and like make these changes and blah, blah, blah. But while I'm doing it, I'm like, I feel like I'm doing it really quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I'm an action person, but it takes a while for you to
And,
make like you notice, you can notice change very quickly, but like some of these patterns we have, like that stuff doesn't just change overnight. That's why having a coach can fast track it.
totally. I think too, that's a big issue for people, is that when it comes down to all these big changes that you have to make, they're just so time consuming, and they don't want to do them. They want to be fast tracked. They want to have that baby yesterday. And so it's really hard to like kind of get into your brain, like, look, slow down. Slowing down will get you to your goal probably quicker,
Yeah.
for some of the people. I mean, a lot of people, I think, who deal with infertility don't necessarily have big issues like we had. Like, our issues were really, really deep, and there's probably a small portion of us within the infertility community that would have to put in that much work. For a lot of people, it might just be a few quick, simple changes that kickstart something else.
Yeah, I
But
have people reading my book saying I went gluten-free and they're pregnant. People listen to the podcast and say I took a couple strategies from there and some lifestyle strategies and I'm pregnant.
right.
So obviously the more complicated the diagnosis, you've got autoimmune issues and other things going on, gut infections and, stuff that I had, stuff that you had. It was not a simple case. It takes longer, but that's not the majority.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's another thing, is that it's the norms of society that keep us from doing what we need to do. We see other people get pregnant by drinking and eating the same exact as we are, and it's we get into our head, well, she got pregnant, so I can do it. It's normal. That's, it will eventually happen for me. And that's when the years start to stack up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the heartbreak and yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you are listening to this and you have been dealing with some issues for quite a few years, and you haven't changed anything up because you feel normal, you don't feel sick, it's, getting into your brain. And I know for me, this really helped me. I had to get into my brain that I wasn't that girl. I wasn't going to be that girl to get drunk and get knocked up. Just wasn't going to happen. Until I started to change things up. And you don't have to be perfect. I guess I'm a good story for that. I put in a lot of hard work, and I did get pregnant naturally, eventually. But when I got pregnant that month before, and a few weeks after, because I just didn't believe I was pregnant, there was just no way I was pregnant naturally. I drank, I ate gluten,
Mm.
I stayed up late, I went on girls' weekends, I heavy lifted everything, like, I just did everything and anything that you're not supposed to do when you're trying to get pregnant. and I got pregnant. So it's not about, and I think that's where like some people get really confused about things because they only do diet and lifestyle for like say a month or two before IVF or
Yeah.
just during
It
IVF.
didn't work.
It just doesn't work that way. Like if you have a deep underlying issue, or even if you just have an issue, you know, those few weeks or a month or two is probably not enough for your body to heal itself, to change, to be able to, you know, carry a baby. So, you know, people really get tripped up on that. And then, like, I think it's funny, especially, you know, I've been watching someone do a back-to-back IVF, and she's put in some work before her first IVF. It didn't work, no embryos. Second IVF, they've gotten a few more embryos. And her first IVF, she did everything right, what she thinks is everything right. And her second IVF, she's drinking Prosecco, you know, and doing the things maybe you shouldn't be doing. And I just wonder if people see that and say, well, I did everything right the first time, it didn't work. I didn't do, you know, I just had fun and did it. It's like, yeah, but if you didn't have a deep underlying issue, those few months of you doing everything hardcore probably contributed to maybe having, you know, a more successful second IVF, because you probably were still putting in some work during the second IVF. So it was a, you know, a big accumulation of what you were doing. But you just hyper focus on your results of your IVF. You don't look outside of everything else that's going on. And I'm just doing like crazy things with my hands. I know this is a podcast, but we put it on YouTube where we record ourselves, and I just noticed that I'm like,
I see hand movements too. Yeah, no, it's like we don't know. It's hard to say, well, what was it that worked? Was it the fact that we actually focused on our sleep? Was it the fact that we had a major gluten sensitivity, we took it out of our diet? Was it the fact that we stopped, you know, exercising vigorously? Was it the fact that we really got honest about our mental emotional issues, and we like really went there and figured out our mindset stuff? What was it? It's hard to really know.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is for another topic, and I keep saying that because there's so much to talk about. But uh, now I've just lost my train of thought. It's so hot in here. I'm like sweating. So yeah, just doing it all is very overwhelming, and I think that's why people get so stressed out, because they put it in that bracket of I've got to do it for these few months before my IVF. And as you and I both know, we've been doing this for years, and we're still learning, we're still trying, we're still finding fucked up things with us. It, you know, it really is a very big process. And I suppose that's why we use the word journey so much through this, that if you have decided to take on these hard challenges of doing a new diet and a new lifestyle, because society isn't there yet. And like you say, we're so much further than we were, thank God. You know, I was exactly like you. People thought I went infertile mad when I changed my diet. They just thought I just was so loopy. So all the things that you need to do, super overwhelming if you're trying to do them before a round of IVF. You know, it is, we would say, try your best to start way before the pressure of IVF comes on.
Yeah, like a minimum of 3 months, like ideally 6 months. And a lot of times, okay, we're talking about these big changes, but sometimes just making a few tweaks, like having someone, a different set of eyes on your case, on your specific issue, you kind of see where, like even for one instance, if you're you know, severely intolerant to gluten, and so many people I talk to are having wheatgrass and they're doing wheatgrass shots, well, that is not recommended. So like simple things like that, or like, wait, your supplement, you have an issue with this allergen, and your supplements are filled with fillers and chemicals and top allergens. So like just someone looking at things can then get you, like, you can fast track this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, it's so overwhelming when you pick up a book and you read all those things and you don't have that knowledge, like someone would have, like us, or any, you know, any functional medicine practitioner out there, or FDNer. And they just tweak those little things. And I think that's the hard thing for people doing this is that, and how we've said before, you just don't know what that one thing might be. It might be super obvious, like a gluten intolerance, or for me, fucking tomatoes and paprika. Who's gonna guess that?
Yeah, no one.
And I think we would both say, going back to, believing in this stuff. I know when I first started it, I didn't believe in it. I wasn't making the connections that what I was eating was going to have an impact on it. I don't think you need to go in believing in crystals and hardcore meditation and, all being, like really hippie-ish with everything. You don't have to do that. You just have to start doing small things and finding what those small things that you can do in your life. And if you are at a crazy busy job and you can't give that up right now, figuring out what you can give up, that's going to make your life a little bit easier. Like you said, don't add more fun to your fun day.
Yeah, and see, find that gateway for you. And maybe the gateway for you is meditation and mindfulness. Maybe the gateway for you is going completely organic. Maybe the gateway for you is like going deep on your sleep, making sure that, that the 5 to 6 hours you're getting, you're going to now optimize it and get 8 to 9. You're going to, use essential oils. You're going to just go deep into sleep hygiene. Or maybe the fact that for you, you're exercising like, too much. And so being able to pull back the exercise, that's speak to a lot of women, the type A, like exercising like a fiend. And so being able to pull that back. So seeing where what feels right for you to start and just actually starting.
Right. Yeah. I always say the first thing is start with water. It's the simplest thing you can do for your health. Get a water filter and drink like nice, fresh, filtered water without all the shit that's in it. And that's one thing. 1 week, do one thing a week, and pilot it on. But and don't get overwhelmed with it, and be okay that you are not going to be pregnant next month. I think that's a big thing, is that people just want these instant gratification, don't we? So yeah, I think that is us for this week. I'll just like tell the people I record in my bedroom with like the windows shut, but I can't have the AC on because obviously you'd hear the drum and I'm sweating. So we are going now. But thank you so much again for joining us on the Infertile Diagnosis. I hope this episode maybe has given you a little aha moment, and we will see you next week. Bye.
A few more things before you go. If you like what we're doing, please leave a review and or a rating. We would greatly appreciate it, and it would totally help us out. Also, if you'd like to connect with either of us, you can find me, Monica, over at mymindfulme.com, and you can connect with Sarah over on fabfertile.com. All the links you need to find us on our websites or social media, any products we talk about, books, special offers, or any guests that we have on, you're going to find all that information in the show notes. So that's it. Thank you once again for being with us here on the Infertile Diagnosis, and have a beautiful day.